Here at CoachParry.com, our coaching philosophy really is training smart rather than training hard. So in this video, we're going to talk about 3 ways for you to be able to run for longer without having to run more or run harder.
The first thing that you can do to make sure that you can run longer and build your endurance is make sure that you are running at the correct pace. This is critical for 2 reasons. If you're running at the correct pace, we are going to be developing the right metabolic pathways that we want to build the endurance. And secondly, we are going to be able to run much longer without getting fatigued and getting tired on this particular run. So some of the bigger mistakes that I see people making when they are doing their long runs, primarily running the long run too fast, or getting themselves into a situation where they feel like they need to keep up with a particular group, or even more common, trying to be at the front of that group, what we would call the half-yarders. And if you have 2 or 3 half-yarders in a group, you suddenly have your long run turning into a race. And the third mistake, which is really common, is people trying to prove to themselves that they've got the endurance to do the race that they are training for, and so they train too close to race pace in their long runs. So how do you know that you are running at the correct pace? The important thing is knowing either what you are training for, or even better, having an understanding of where your fitness is right now. We typically at Coach Parry like to use a 5K time trial if we don't have other information, or a recent race that you've run that we will then use to calculate either pace or heart rate or power intensities for you to do that long run at. As a general rule of thumb, we are looking to do our long run races, our long run training runs between 75 and 80% of threshold, or between 70 and 75% of maximum. We won't calculate pace off of a maximum, obviously, but heart rate, we can use maximum if you have a measured heart rate maximum, and we don't like to work with age-related formulas.
So the first thing that you can do to help build your endurance and get a little bit faster is ensure that you are running your training runs at the correct pace. Essentially, I mean more specifically, your easy and your long runs, that you're running those at the correct pace. It is so important to slow down in these easy and long runs for this reason. Essentially, physiologically, when we are looking to build endurance, we need to be training in the correct zone. That zone, essentially, I'm referring to the intensity at which you're running at. And that can be measured by a number of things. That can be measured by heart rate, or by power, or by pace. Any of those sort of metrics is used to measure the intensity at which you're running at. And so in order to improve endurance, we need to be running at the correct intensity or zone. There's many different zone models that are used in the literature. Some use a 3-zone model, some use a 5-zone model. I personally like to use the 5-zone model, where you're working within that 5-zone model. To build your endurance, you want to be working in zone 2. What is going on physiologically when you're working in that zone is there's some really good magic that's happening inside that's helping make you a better runner. Things like your heart, it's actually a muscle. It gets bigger. It therefore becomes more efficient and stronger at circulating blood around the system. There's therefore more oxygen that's getting to the cells a lot quicker. At the cellular level, that gaseous exchange is so much more efficient and quicker. The cell also creates more mitochondria. Mitochondria are essentially the powerhouses of the cell. They are what creates energy, or the coal houses of the cell, and there's more of those that get created, and overall the cell just becomes better at removing waste, and so that is how you become a more efficient and a faster runner. That's the physiology of it. And in order to get that, we need to train in the correct zone or the right intensity. And you can either be this zone, or this range of this zone is quite large, and so you could either be really running at the faster end of the zone or at the slower end of the zone, and you are going to be getting the exact same benefit on either end. All of that physiology I just spoke about, you're going to be getting that benefit on either side of that. However, when you're running at the faster end of this zone, what is happening is that you're putting so much eccentric stress and load on your bones and on your muscles, there's more muscle fiber breakdown that happens at that faster end of this zone. And so what I'm suggesting is that you rather run on the slower end of this zone, get exactly the same physiological benefits, but at less cost to your body. And so you'll be able to then get to your next run feeling so much fresher. You're still going to be building your aerobic capacity, but at less cost to your body. The other thing is when you're running at the faster end, you're sort of pushing the line between aerobic and anaerobic, and you're not always going to be tapping into the correct energy system. Don't think of energy systems as a flick on and a flick off switch. It doesn't work like that. There's very gray lines, and the closer you move towards that line, the less you're going to be working on really the aerobic endurance aspects of what we're looking for. If you want to learn a little bit more about this, we've got another video where we've also got into a lot of detail on it. Just click on the screen to find that video. All right, on to point 2, walk breaks. We've just sort of learned that people really need to be slowing down, and people struggle to slow down in their easy and their long runs. They're always complaining that it changes my biomechanics or my running gait changes. So one of the things you can do to help you slow down in your easy and your long runs is including walk breaks. These are really, really important because one, it just sort of slows you down, and the other aspect is that it takes that eccentric stress or load that you're putting on your muscles, it minimizes that. So overall, your perceived fatigue or effort also comes down, and this allows you to go much longer for an extended period of time. So when you're speaking walk breaks, what we're looking for is a walk break of around 60 to 90 seconds, depending on your level and your age and your ability. You're looking for around 60 to 90 seconds of a walk break, and you want to start doing these walk breaks before you have to start walking. So essentially from the first 3 to 4 kilometers within your run, adding in a short walk of 60 to 90 seconds and doing that every 4 to 6 kilometers thereafter. You also really don't want this walk break to be a stroll. It's not a little walk in the park. It's a concerted effort of a walk. And for 60 to 90 seconds, every 4 to 6 kilometers. If you're up for a challenge, hit the like button, and in your next run, slow your run down. Utilize these walk breaks that we're talking about. And at the end of the run, see how you feel, and if you could feel like you could go on for much longer. That means the process is probably working and that the magic is starting to happen.
What do we mean by running in a fasted state? So running in a fasted state is really getting you to do a training session without very much fuel in the body. So much like the empty fridge behind me, where there's absolutely nothing in the tank to fuel the body. So why does training in a fasted state work? And what does it actually do to the body? The idea here is for you to become, or to train your body to metabolize fat stores and the stores that you have in the body readily available in a more efficient manner. So running in that fasted state just trains the body to burn fat a lot more efficiently, and by able to burn fat, it actually yields higher energy output. So if we can become more efficient at using the stores we already have, it also helps us to become a more efficient runner from a fueling point of view. So I mentioned when I spoke about occasionally running in a fasted state, how occasional is occasional? I often get this question. We do not want to be doing a fasted run every week, and certainly not in every training session. So with running, the depletion of muscle glycogen when you run in a fasted state it's very taxing on the body. And from a fatigue and a muscle damage point of view is actually quite high. So we would typically recommend running in a fasted state roughly every 2 to 3 weeks, possibly twice in a 12-week cycle if you're training for a marathon. I wouldn't really recommend doing it more than 2 to 3 times in a 12-week cycle. Things that we do need to caution when it comes to running in a fasted state is also just to make sure that you are then fueling immediately after that training session. So that is absolutely vital. Remember, we've spoken about muscle damage, we've spoken about fatigue during that session, and we're trying to obviously get the body to be more efficient at using its fuel sources that it does have. But by depleting those muscle glycogen stores as much as we are in a long run, and again, I really just want to emphasize that a fasted run needs to be a long, easy run. You cannot do any sort of interval work, any high intensity work in the session. It has to be low intensity. But because of the depletion of the muscle glycogen stores and the fatigue and damage to the muscles that we are doing in a session like this, it is absolutely vital that immediately after that session, you are eating and drinking and replacing those fuel stores again. Things to really focus on is you need a carbohydrate intake. It's absolutely vital that you do focus on getting a good carb-based meal or drink straight after that session, and then naturally, because of the muscle damage as well, to think of some sort of protein that you are balancing with those meals as well for the rest of the day.
Thanks for watching. If you've tried any of the techniques that we've gone through in this video, please share how they have worked for you in the comment section on this video. Please don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss out on future content. Thanks for joining. Look forward to seeing you again next time.